Imagine a team where not one, not two, but four quarterbacks are locked in a fierce competition, and no one, not even the head coach, knows who the starter will be. Welcome to the unpredictable world of the Cleveland Browns, where the quarterback battle is as wild as any in NFL history. This isn't just a training camp story, it's a potential blueprint for chaos or genius. And right in the middle of it all, Shedeur Sanders, a name buzzing across football circles. But will he rise to the top or be left behind in the shuffle? The Cleveland Browns are facing an incredibly rare and high-stakes quarterback conundrum that has the NFL world buzzing. They are perhaps the only team in the league with four quarterbacks legitimately vying for the starting role, and the battle is far from settled. As the preseason inches closer to its critical phase, the uncertainty grows stronger. What makes this scenario even more dramatic is the looming question about who stays and who goes, because keeping four quarterbacks on the final roster is almost unheard of. Yet there's a twist. The Browns might actually break the norm. In a surprising turn of events, General Manager Andrew Berry recently hinted that the team might just keep all four signal callers. According to Berry, the last 5 spots on the roster have often been reserved for developmental purposes, and with today's expanded practice squad flexibility, the Browns might use that to their advantage. Berry emphasized that if all four quarterbacks are worthy of a spot on the 53-man roster and it makes the most sense for the franchise, then that's the direction they'll take. His remarks have stirred both excitement and speculation, especially around how the team will navigate this rare depth at the game's most critical position. The quarterback room is a fascinating blend of experience and potential. Veterans Joe Flacco and Kenny Pickett are battling alongside 2 rookies, Dillon Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders. Flacco, with his proven track record, is widely assumed to be the front-runner for the starting job, but nothing is guaranteed in Cleveland. The Browns added fuel to the fire by drafting not 1 but 2 quarterbacks during the most recent NFL draft. Gabriel was taken in the 3rd round, while Sanders had to wait until the 5th round to hear his name called. That difference in draft position has only added to the intrigue surrounding their competition. Shedeur Sanders is a name that continues to gain traction and attention. Many analysts believe he could be the future of the Browns franchise, possibly even the eventual starter as the season unfolds. However, there is also a school of thought suggesting that the Browns should look to acquire another quarterback in the next draft cycle, adding even more layers of uncertainty to Sanders' future in Cleveland. For now, he's in the mix, and he's got every opportunity to prove that he belongs. Unfortunately, the quarterback race just took another dramatic twist. Kenny Pickett, who had been fighting to claim a higher spot in the depth chart, reportedly suffered a hamstring injury during a red zone drill in Saturday's practice. It's a tough blow for Pickett, who will now miss some valuable time during a crucial stretch of training camp. The Browns had a scheduled off day on Sunday, and head coach Kevin Stefanski is expected to provide a full update before Monday's padded practice, which marks the beginning of a critical week of evaluations. Pickett's status will be reassessed later this week, and depending on the severity, it could shake up the entire quarterback competition. The Browns' schedule for the week includes practices on Monday through Wednesday, a rest day on Thursday, and then a return to action on Friday and Saturday. As fans and analysts closely watch every rep and throw, one thing is clear. Cleveland is embarking on a quarterback journey unlike any other, and Shedeur Sanders is right in the heart of it. There's something quietly brewing in Cleveland, something beneath the surface of flashy headlines and scripted press conferences. On the 3rd day of training camp, as the sun beat down on the Browns' practice field and fans leaned into the fences looking for answers, one undeniable truth revealed itself. Not through stats or depth charts, but through behavior, posture, and presence. Shedeur Sanders, the much-anticipated rookie quarterback, may not be getting the bulk of the reps or the spotlight, but his demeanor in the face of limited opportunity is turning heads in a way that stats never could. For all the noise around the so-called 4-man quarterback competition, it's becoming clearer with each passing hour that the race hasn't officially begun. And in that silence, Shedeur Sanders is speaking the loudest. While many believe the start of training camp would be the great unveiling of the Browns' quarterback battle, reality painted a much different picture. There was no dramatic shift, no sudden reallocation of reps, no real sign that the competition had truly begun. The coaching staff didn't seem to get the memo fans were hoping they would. From what we've seen on the field so far, training camp has looked remarkably similar to minicamp. Drill-based practices, shorts and helmets, limited contact, and a distinct lack of intensity. Under the current collective bargaining agreement, teams aren't allowed to wear pads during the first week of camp. So the early practices resemble an extended warm-up more than a hard-hitting evaluation period. But even within those soft parameters, the message is clear. The reps are being concentrated around only 2 quarterbacks, neither of whom are rookies. That's not a coincidence, that's a strategy. And so, while Shedeur Sanders and Dillon Gabriel are being kept on the outskirts of the main rotation, their roles right now are more about mental preparation than physical assertion. The coaching staff had previously suggested that training camp would bring a shift, that the rookies would finally get their shot. But 3 days in, the reality is starkly different. Sanders has been tasked with learning the playbook, mastering pre-snap reads, and adjusting to the pro-level cadence and tempo of the position. These are essential steps, yes, but they aren't flashy. They don't make headlines. What makes headlines is what Shedeur is doing with this moment, how he carries himself through limited reps, how he absorbs information from the sidelines, how he supports his teammates without demanding attention. It's all there, unfolding in real time, but only if you know where to look. If you know anything about Kevin Stefanski and Andrew Berry, you know this. They don't play their cards early. Since taking over in Cleveland, this leadership duo has made it a point to keep everything internal. They don't leak, they don't entertain speculation, and they don't feel the need to explain themselves to the public. In that regard, they resemble the legendary Bill Belichick in New England. Tight-lipped, calculated, and always one step ahead of the media narrative. So if you're waiting for them to publicly outline the quarterback hierarchy before Week 1, you're going to be waiting a while. In fact, don't be surprised if the second preseason game rolls around and the public still has no real idea where Shedeur Sanders stands on the depth chart. That's the plan, and it's by design. This mystery surrounding the Browns' quarterback situation is all the more intense when you consider the team's historical struggles at the position. Over the last 2.5 decades, it's fair to say no team has faced more instability at quarterback than Cleveland. While there may be some debate about Baker Mayfield's legacy with the franchise, even his most ardent supporters admit he didn't truly flourish until he left the Browns. In nearly 8 decades of existence, the franchise has had only 4 quarterbacks who could be described as definitively good. Otto Graham, Brian Sipe, Bernie Kosar, and yes, perhaps Baker Mayfield. That's 4 names in 79 years. It's a sobering statistic that paints a very clear picture. The Browns have historically been built around defense and a strong ground game, not air raids and elite quarterback play. And that very history may be why Stefanski and his staff are treating this current quarterback competition like a marathon. It's not about who flashes early. It's about who's standing tall when the real decisions need to be made. For fans of the Colorado Buffaloes, and for those who've followed Shedeur Sanders' journey closely, this moment may feel frustrating. Where's the opportunity? Where's the chance for him to prove himself on the big stage? But Stefanski's approach is grounded in patience. Each week of training camp brings new evaluations. As Sanders sharpens his understanding of the playbook, as he improves the nuances of pre-snap awareness and operational rhythm, his role will evolve. Adjustments will be made. There's no single switch that gets flipped. It's a process. What's true today could be completely different next week, and that fluidity is exactly what makes this story so compelling. Shedeur Sanders is playing the long game, and in doing so, he's proving he belongs in this league, not by demanding attention, but by earning respect. Every moment on that field, even if it's not with the first team, is a chance to learn, to grow, and to show the kind of resilience that makes NFL quarterbacks great. The reps may be limited, but his impact is undeniable. He's not just competing for a spot on the depth chart. He's learning how to lead in silence, how to prepare in shadows, and how to wait for the right moment to rise. Is Shedeur Sanders being sidelined, or is he silently preparing for the moment that will change everything? What's happening inside Browns camp isn't what anyone expected, but it might be exactly what Shedeur needs to write his NFL story. In a world obsessed with instant results, Shedeur Sanders is quietly reminding everyone that greatness takes time. His response to limited reps isn't just professional, it's powerful. And as this quarterback competition unfolds week by week, don't be surprised if Shedeur goes from silent observer to center stage. Make sure you're subscribed, drop a comment on whether you believe Shedeur deserves more reps, and stay tuned, because this story is just getting started.